Welcome to Building Resilience and Navigating the Journey with Multiple Sclerosis. So, last episode, as you know, it was very heavy for me to continue, but I've collected myself. But I just want to take the chance to thank my audience, my followers, everyone who's just been so supportive of this journey. And it's very weird for me to say followers because I'm not doing this for likes. I'm not doing this for the attention. I feel like this is my newfound purpose. And this work needs to be done. Stories need to be told, need to be shared. Experiences need to be out there for the world to not only hear it, but to gain insights as to what is actually going on in the world of chronic illnesses, especially from a patient perspective. We hear so much from healthcare providers, and that's great. But at the end of the day, you need to hear from the horse's mouth. And I'm one of those people. And so this has given rise and inspiration for me to speak out and to share my story of resilience. But the only way that I have come to this place of resilience is to be in the wilderness, to be in those darkest places where I felt like I had no one. And truly, I didn't have anyone. I didn't have someone to look up to. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if there was life after my diagnosis. I have been through it. I'm still going through it. But as Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see. And so, I keep saying this, I wish I had someone who looked just like me, telling me that this wasn't the end, showing me how they have overcome or still going through their challenges with a chronic illness. I know it's not easy, but just seeing someone who has walked a similar path inspires hope, gives something to hold on to. And that is why I am doing this. That's why I'm doing this podcast for you. As I'm speaking, I've been through it. I'm still going through it. I have a sore back. I have an aching back. I lost my voice just last night. I've lost my voice a few times this week and previous weeks. But the reason I'm smiling, and this is huge for me, because my smile hasn't been something that is very popular in my life for the past few years, but especially in the last 2 years. It has been difficult. So for me to smile is a big deal. And the reason I'm smiling, despite the pain I feel right now, is because what I'm doing right now is for a greater purpose. It is beyond me. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for the people who don't feel seen, who don't feel heard, and not just feel that way, but because others have made them to feel that way. Unfortunately, sometimes this comes from your healthcare providers, from family members, relatives, strangers, your workplace. It doesn't matter. Most of the time, it's because of ignorance. People don't know. And it's actually a good thing you don't know, because if you know, you would understand. And for you to understand what people like myself go through, you have to live it. And I don't wish this on anyone. So that's a good thing. But then it's also difficult for the people who deliberately choose to be ignorant and who aren't compassionate and who aren't understanding or empathetic. It makes our lives difficult. So everyone who is either a chronic illness patient or is an ally or caregiver, this is for you. I want to let you know that I see you, I hear you, I'm living it. This content that I'm putting out there is for you. That despite the pain that I feel, physical pain, psychological pain. I know it looks weird that I'm smiling as I'm saying this. These are like negative emotions and feelings. But despite what I feel, I am pushing through. This has given me a sense of purpose to wake up even when it's difficult and push through. Because if I can serve one person, reach one person, then it is all worth it for me. So let's get started. I have my notes because sometimes a lot of the things that I'm discussing is very emotional. I'm taken back to those places, and also I want to be organized. So I have my notes here. And so, yeah, let's go back to, being done with the lumbar puncture, which is a segue from the previous podcast. Once I was sent home to recover, I will say that was like the worst time of my life, because it's like I'm still on the treatment, but I'm officially discharged from the hospital. But I feel like it was a combination of having a prolapsed disc and having the lumbar puncture, and then also going through an attack, a huge flare-up. And so I wasn't in a position to travel or to move around. I wasn't able to sit up straight or even a little bit. I had to be in an inclined position, and the only way I was able to sleep was on my back. Even till this day, sometimes it's just, I don't want to say more comfortable, but being in that neutral position is much better from my back than sleeping on my side, So I remember, let me just take a look at my notes here. I remember coming home from the hospital, and it was like the worst 4 weeks of my life. I think it was even more than 4 weeks. But I recall that the psychiatrist who had assessed me at the hospital, he referred an in-home physiotherapist for me because I couldn't go anywhere. So they came straight to my home and helped me. And that actually saved me, because at this point, my legs are still numb. I cannot feel my legs. It's difficult to walk, so I had to go through that process of learning to walk again. And I've said this many times, but learning to walk again involves many aspects. My balance is impaired, my gait is impaired. I don't trust the ground. I can't feel the ground, so how can I trust it? I'm unstable. I don't even know how to walk. So even when I attempted to do it, it's like I will wobble. And it's like a kid who, is a toddler. You're just starting to learn how to walk and you're just uneasy, So I also had drop foot. So those of you who don't know drop foot, it's when your feet are just flapping like this. Like when you walk, you're not steady like this. You're just like this, almost like a penguin. Okay, almost like a penguin. And there's like so much weight with every step that you take. And it's just difficult to navigate that process, right? Like I mentioned, my gait was horrible. My balance was horrible. I didn't trust the ground. I remember a few nights, actually, I woke up, and let me read this because every time I think about it and I'm recollecting and I'm talking about it, I get emotional. So let me just read this out. So one time, especially when I first came home, I woke up in the middle of the night in a panic because it wasn't registering that my legs were practically useless. And my brain was so used to getting up and getting things done, because I'm a go girl. I've lived a very structured lifestyle. I'm very used to getting up early in the morning, getting things done, getting prepped, getting freshened up, going to the gym, or even if I don't go to the gym, going out or somewhere in my house, getting my routine done and getting ready for the day. Like, I don't know how to just be like slow paced. That is just not in my nature, right? So, like I said, my brain was used to getting things up and getting things done. And when I got up from my bed, I couldn't move. And I went into a straight up panic. I think I experienced a panic attack. And I literally wanted to cut off my legs because I couldn't feel it. So when I say this, it was like, what was happening and what I was feeling and what my brain was used to wasn't registering. So it was like I almost had like a psychotic break there, because it just, nothing was registering, and I couldn't, like, literally couldn't feel my legs. And even though I was aware of the situation, it's like every time I went to bed, it was like a time to start fresh. So when I woke up, the memories and the reality of what I was experiencing, it's like it never happened. And so it's like, you know, I'm trying to get up, I can't move. Like, I just want to go use the washroom, or I just want to grab food. I just want to do whatever I need to do whenever I want, and nothing is happening for me. And so in that moment, like, literally, I started to have a panic attack. I started hyperventilating. Like, I couldn't even feel my legs. So I literally felt like I want to cut it off, you know? So I remember, you know, my husband, my mom, my sister woke up in the middle of the night, and they were just calming me down. You know, my husband was next to me. My mother, I remember, got some hot water and started using like a washcloth to just massage my legs, because this is so hard to talk about, but like, when you can't feel your legs and it's numb, it's not like you're completely paralyzed, but it's numb. So you know your legs are there. You feel that your legs are there, but you can't do anything with it. And it's like tingling, and it's just a weird sensation. Like, you're almost going crazy, you know? And so this is something that happened to me for, I would experience like panic attacks, especially in the middle of the night, because like I said, you're going to bed. And so when you wake up, it's like, you have to like deal with reality. And the reality is I couldn't move. You know, I couldn't feel my legs. It was tingly. It was very uncomfortable. I didn't know what to do with myself. It was just psychologically, I was just not okay. I was losing it. But I also want to say, me knowing who I am, I didn't want to sit around and do nothing, you know? So I knew that I had to travel, and I don't have a GP. You know, I'll tell you another story about that time. My GP kicked me out of his practice because I was advocating for my health. And remember, I'm a PE survivor, pulmonary embolism survivor, blood clot in my lungs survivor. So I was advocating for my health at the time, and I'll tell you that in another episode. So having this information, knowing that I don't have a GP to regulate my health or to check in with me regularly, I was like searching high and low, because my brain was still working. Like, my body was not working with me because I was in a flare-up. But my wits, my brain was working overdrive. And so I was researching, you know, different locations, different cities, nearby towns of a neurologist that I could go to check me out, to get a second opinion. Because at this time, you know, the doctors at the clinic, the private clinic that I went to, had diagnosed me with MS or transverse myelitis. But I wanted to have a second opinion so that I know exactly where I stand, what I'm working with, and so I can continue on treatment. My